Lagos State government orders demolition of illegal building sites as another three-story building collapses.
Inspector General of Police orders expeditious investigation of suspended Adamawa resident electoral commissioner.
NDLEA arrests two Saudi-bound passengers with 14 kilograms of cocaine at Lagos Airport.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations.
The COVID-19 lockdown and industrial actions by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in recent years have brought about a backlog of admissions into universities and other tertiary institutions in the country, with parents worried over the chances of their wards in the admission processes into the nation's ivory towers.
Now, notwithstanding the backlog of admissions you just talked about, Kirian, about 1.6 million candidates are registered for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations, UTME, and are getting set to take the exams, which have been slated to hold from tomorrow, the 25th of April, and end on the 2nd of May, 2023.
And ahead of tomorrow's UTME, the examination body, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has advised candidates bid to sit for the examination to ensure they print out their examination notification slips, which would contain their examination centers, time and date of examination, and other detailed essentials.
Now, the spokesman for JAMB, Fabian Benjamin, says the information on the slip is to help candidates locate their computer-based test CBT centers with ease, as about 600 such centers have been approved by JAMB for this year's UTME. Now, the examination body has also indicated that candidates must print their slips not later than today, Monday, the 24th of April, as JAMB will be strict with the timing indicated on each candidate's slip.
Apparently, JAMB is doing everything possible to absolve itself of blames, as candidates are expected to locate their centers before the day of the examination, so as not to arrive late at the examination center. Items such as wristwatches, calculators, flash drives, phones, among others, have also been prohibited by JAMB within the examination halls.
Well, we must also remember that JAMB conducted a voluntary mock test for candidates, and this was on the 30th of March as well as the 18th of April, and a number of challenges were thrown up from that exercise, and this included inability of some candidates to locate their centers in good time, which led to the late arrival of such candidates, plus other technical glitches since it was a computer-based test.
Some female students who were prevented from sitting for the mock UTME examination at the Covenant University in Ota, Ogun State, also generated controversy. But JAMB was quick to apologize to the concerned candidates with a promise to address the matter.
So, how prepared is JAMB and, of course, its support agencies as well as candidates themselves for the UTME, which begins tomorrow, the 25th of April? And what are the measures placed by JAMB to address the noticeable challenges identified during the mock examinations to ensure that these challenges do not resurface during the UTME proper, and that if they do resurface, they are quickly addressed?
We shall interrogate these issues with our panel of guests on Good Morning Nigeria today. I am Kirian Umaye. Welcome to this beautiful Monday's edition of the program. Well, it's a public holiday, the continuation of celebrations to mark Eid al-Fitr festival.
And of course, I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Kirian to also welcome you to the program. And we keep saying Eid Mubarak to Muslim faithful watching us in Nigeria and elsewhere around the world. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority and broadcasting from our Abuja headquarters studios here in the nation's capital. In the course of the program, we'll have our regular complimentary segments, and those include newspaper review, business, and others. For the highlights of the morning news, here's our colleague, Lydia Odije Ochin. Good morning, Lydia.
Good morning, Kingsley and Kieran. It's like we all planned it. We're all wearing blue today.
I want to ask, what are you doing in blue this morning?
Well, blue is said to be the color of royalty. Okay. And so that's a lovely one on you there, Lydia.
Thank you. Happy Salah holiday to Nigerians. Here is the morning news. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is in the United States of America, where he is scheduled to deliver a special lecture at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He is accompanied by the Special Advisor to the President on Economic Matters, Adeyemi Dikpeolu. The Vice President's lecture slated for today will be themed around climate change and a just transition and is hosted by the University Center for Africana Studies. Another three-floor building under construction at plot 5996 Ladipo Oluwole Street, Apapa, has partially collapsed. The structure was said to have caved in due to distress compounded by thunderstrike from the early morning rainfall in most parts of Lagos metropolis. An official of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Ajeromi, Ifelodun local government, Asimiyu, who was amongst the early callers at the scene, said no casualty was recorded as most of the workers at the site had left for the Salah break. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Building Control Agency says a preliminary investigation showed that the building owner only obtained provisional development permit for 2 floors as against the 3 floors being constructed. The agency has, however, ordered the sealing off of the structure pending inquiries into the collapse to unravel the details and guide appropriate actions. Meanwhile, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has ordered the state's building control agency to pull down buildings that do not have the permit of the Lagos State government and those that violate waterfront setbacks to forestall the recurring incidents of building collapse across the metropolis. He gave the order after taking an on-the-spot assessment of building constructions at various sites in Banana Island in Ikoyi area of Lagos. A fatal road crash at World Oil OPIC along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway killed 7 passengers on Sunday morning. A statement by the Corps Public Education Officer BC Kazim notes that the main cause of the crash was brake failure, which resulted to loss of control by the driver. Injured persons were rescued to Lagos State Accident and Emergency Center Old Tollgate, while the dead bodies were deposited at Ogun State University Teaching Hospital, Osu mortuary in Shagamu, Ogun State. BC Kazim says the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Libiu, called on vehicle operators to make routine vehicle maintenance a priority. The Nigeria Police Force says it is in receipt of a letter from the Independent National Electoral Commission on the alleged impropriety of Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari, the Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner, during the recently concluded supplementary election, calling on the force to investigate and possibly prosecute the REC for his actions. In a statement, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, orders an investigative team to work with INEC to expedite action on the content of the letter, while expressing the commitment of the NPF to upholding democratic values. The Inspector General of Police assures Nigerians and the international community that the police will leave no stone unturned in unraveling the remote causes of the unwholesome conduct of the REC, as well as ensure that all persons fingered in the course of investigations are brought to book. Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad has approved the immediate reinstatement of the Emir of Benin Yado to Emirate in Safe local government area of the state. Alhaji Aliyu Garba Marafa suspended about 10 months ago. The monarch was suspended following the traditional title he conferred on the notorious bandit kingpin Ado Alero on the 16th of July 2022. A press statement signed by Secretary to Zamfara State Government Kabiru Balarabe says the reinstatement is based on the recommendations of the committee constituted to investigate the reasons behind the controversial conferment of the traditional title to the notorious bandit by the monarch. The statement adds that the committee found no evidence of any ill motive or collaboration between the embattled emir and the bandit, but considered the move as a way of addressing incessant attacks and kidnapping in the affected local communities. 2 suspects have been nabbed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the Lagos International Airport for attempting to export 14.4 kilograms of cocaine to Medina and Jeddah in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Preliminary investigation by NDLEA led to further arrests of a suspect, a managing director of a travel agency who is believed to have recruited one of the suspects to traffic the illicit substance to Jeddah. In the same vein, NDLEA officers also intercepted 2 drug consignments consisting of ecstasy and skunk going to United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, about 1.2 tons of skunk was seized in Kaduna State in the week-long operation carried out by the Anti-Narcotics Agency. And that's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kieran and Kingsley after the break. Please stay with us.
Hey, Charles.
It's so hot, Auntie. You'll get used to it.
Yay!
What's the big deal? It's just a cereal. Just a cereal? You're talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Nigeria's favorite breakfast cereal fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
You clean your teeth every morning, but that fresh breath feeling just doesn't last. The answer? Easy. You keep your teeth strong and healthy and give your mouth long-lasting fresh breath with new Oral-B 2-in-1 toothpaste. It helps strengthen your teeth and gives you long-lasting fresh breath.
So fresh, still fresh, and still fresh.
Stay strong, stay fresh. New Oral-B toothpaste for strong teeth and long-lasting fresh breath.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate.
Now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
Since I joined this program don't help me. They carry the money, give me. I take join with the money, carry go market. As you see now, my market now come be fine past before. These are asusu that we made. The money now come big fast. I take buy this thing, I feed buy what I am now, buy carry plantain. Before now only carry where they sell. But now I don't buy what I am at. Buy potatoes, cocoyam, and thank federal government. Then may God bless you now. Up, the third on come.
We thank you for waking up with us on Good Morning Nigeria today, and we are live on the network service of NTA. Next we have a review of today's national dailies.
right, Mr. Parivera, Chukwudi Okoli Ogboaja is right here with us in the studios. Chukwudi, good morning.
Good morning, Kingsley. How are you?
I'm fine. Happy holidays.
Same to you, my dear.
How was your weekend?
Well, fine. So, one day at a time. I hope you had some mutton from some of our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Well, not exactly. This is not the one for the mutton. It's Eid al-Kabir.
Is Eid al-Kabir that
have mutton,
sees the slaughtering of
which is
rams.
meat, yes.
I don't know whether it's my gluttonous life. I want all of them to have rams so that we can all be merry. It's okay. I'm happy for our Muslim brothers and sisters for the happy celebration.
Good, you're welcome.
Kirian, how are you?
I'm good. We're going to start with the New Telegraph newspaper. New Telegraph, above the name flag, 12 banks posted 5.23 trillion naira gross earnings. That's on page 3. Smuggling, 665 billion naira foreign rice processed for Nigerian market. It's on page 17. Below the name flag, we have other stories. May 29 handover date remains sacrosanct, says Buhari. It's on page 3 as well. $0.3 million foreign asset. Probe KMO's finances. Atiku tells CFCC. It's on page 2. DE registration to continue after UTME census. According to JAMB, experts hosting data locally cheaper. This story guarantees cyber security. We get all of that on pages 4 and 18 of the New Telegraph. Banana Island developers broke seal to continue construction. That's according to Lagos State government. Of course, the writer there says 3-story building collapses in Apapa GRA. All right, that's on pages 3 and 6. That's where you get that. Now, the lead story on the New Telegraph: ignore NANS, stay indoors. The federal government tells Nigerian students in crisis reading Sudan. With 3 riders, NLC urges federal government to guarantee safety of citizens. Diplomats, foreign nationals evacuated. LP presidential candidates fret over failure to evacuate trapped Nigerians. We have that on pages 2, 5, and 8. Now, nurses, midwives decry exclusion from 40% pay rise for federal government workers. It's on page 5. Adamawa Guba, we've received letter on Rex impropriety. That's according to FHK. It's on page 3 as well. Now, desperate politicians are sowing seeds of discord among Nigerians. That's according to Ubi. Religious tag on Ubi false. Propaganda, a Muslim community says so. It's on pages 4 and 7. Right, the right bottom of the New Telegraph, we have a corruption. How National Assembly failed to pass bill creating special courts. That's by Sage. It's on page 2. Lawyers, why stormy elections persist in Nigeria. Restructuring way to go if Nigeria must move forward. That's according to Ujikutu. It's on pages 10, 11, 14, and 16. All right, Quinsley.
Okay, we also have the Leadership newspaper, and we'll take one headline from above the nameplate. Troops kill 42 terrorists, destroy 12 camps in Borno and Zamfara. And below that, it says missing crude oil. Sarab threatens to sue federal government. National Assembly leadership, northern candidates still in the race. You have details on page 7. And the lead story comes with a kicker saying amid low patronage, mass metering program in limbo as manufacturers divest. You have details on page 4, and the following riders are also captured in the details. Blame inflation and operational cost for high electricity tariff and poor service. Only 5.93 million Nigerian households are metered. 35 days to inauguration, Tinubu returns today. Sudan war, Nigerian students flee to Ethiopia. And 168 persons evacuated as 2 buildings collapsed in Lagos and Ibadan. And you can see some of the photographs there of The three-story structure, rather two-story, since we don't normally count the ground floor as a story in Nigeria. The two-story building at Apapa in Lagos, which collapsed at the weekend, and then Governor Sanwo-Olu on a visit to Banana Island, where a seven-story structure earlier caved in. That was over the Easter holidays. Chukwudi.
Thank you, Kingsley. For me, I'm going to start off from where we ended the other day. You brought up this matter. Firstly, remember, that is the situation in Sudan. The headline you read there is the effect that the federal government is asking, students in Khartoum or Sudan, to be more general, to ignore NANS, stay indoors. NLC is urging the federal government to guarantee the safety of the students. It's not just students. Actually, there's a larger Nigeria-Sudan community, so to speak, over there. So we should be talking about extracting and safely evacuating our people from that crisis-torn capital. The guns are still booming there, and it is in our interest to make sure that we be seen as one of those who take the first line of action in making sure that their nationals get taken away from areas where their safety is no longer, guaranteed. If we remember, the Americans were the first to bring in a Chinook helicopters. That's about 3 days ago. They landed them at the embassy there, and they were able to take their people to Djibouti. The British followed suit when Rishi Sunak held a meeting with Cobra, and they made arrangements and distracted their own people. Canada says their people are safe somewhere. I'm listing this to show that we can join the first line of nations who actually show interest in the safety of their nationals. So far, thankfully, we have not heard any stories about fatalities of foreign nationals and all that, at least from the Nigerian side. And we don't have to wait till such a thing begins to happen. I don't think it is salutary for us to hear conflicting instructions. NANS, Sudan, should be working with the Foreign Affairs and maybe a unit of Nigerian security, because all these big nations we mentioned actually came in with quite a cocktail of people from their security forces to ensure that actually the Americans are saying that they are there in Djibouti, quite on the alert, just in case boots on the ground are needed. We pray it doesn't come to that. But what is important is that Nigerians are safely taken out of Khartoum for now. I think it's very important.
I'm not sure, that would be good at such a prompt action, when certain things happen globally, because it requires a concerted effort of all concerned agencies, especially the Minister of Foreign Affairs, for us to do that. But again, there should be a policy for that. That is to say, giving instruction from perhaps the presidency or something for us to do a kind of ad hoc arrangement. We have so many airlines in Nigeria, that go international. You can arrange that. We also have military attaches, at the embassy there in Sudan, who will also coordinate with the military authorities to see how they can, because in this kind of matter, military intelligence and support, physical support are required.
Yes, I quite agree with you.
Well, I don't think the Sudanese airspace is safe at the moment. Recall that when President Buhari was returning from his visit to Saudi Arabia, he made a detour, and that added some 3 to 4 hours to his flight duration. So airlines are currently avoiding the Sudanese airspace.
Yes.
And the airport in Khartoum itself is also unsafe. I think some planes were hit by some of the missiles fired by either the military or the rapid support forces. That's to say the two rival groups. So the airport is quite unsafe in the meantime. So where do you land? I think that what the Americans have shown, of course, you have to have the might.
They use helicopters.
Yeah,
you have to have the might.
Yeah, Chinook. I'm quite fascinated by that Chinook helicopter.
Yes.
Because almost 50 years ago, following the fall of Saigon, Saigon, of course, is now what is known as Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam.
Yes.
As the Viet Cong overran the Americans and they took over South Vietnam. The chopper they used were the Chinooks.
It was the Chinook.
Famous helicopter. Ferrying embassy staff as well as desperate Vietnamese from the embassy in Saigon to the warship that was off the coast. And one of those dramatic scenes in 1975, April 1975, was at some point the deck of the warship could not accommodate Chinooks to land. So they had to push some of those that had already landed into the sea to make way for those who were going to land. So Chinook is still in service, of course, has been improved, but they came with their SEALs. The SEALs are the elite force. So I think that the land exit probably could be the best way for us. I've seen a few disturbing posts on social media. There are claims that Nigerians are being prevented from getting into, for instance, Ethiopia across the border on foot or by some other land.
I treated that as speculative.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So whatever it is, I think that the diplomats, Nigerian diplomats, know exactly what to do in terms of contiguous countries to Sudan and how to get Nigerians out safely. But let us also be clear, as you said, Chukwudi, there are scores, if not millions, of Nigerians who are in Sudan. Student population is said to be over 5,000. Those whom the Americans evacuated are not all Americans. Those are diplomats and, of course, special service persons. Yes.
So the French actually are offering to take diplomats from other nationalities, you know.
Saudi Arabia has done that already. Yes.
You know, that's what I said. That look, for us, one, we most times are not proactive. And when this Sudan issue didn't just start, there was a build-up. There was a build-up to that. And even before that, many countries have been warning their citizens in that country to be careful where they go, to watch what is happening before they take any step every other day, and so on and so forth. So for us, I think, like you said, we have to, the diplomatic, core of Nigeria in Saudi Arabia, in Sudan, should be able to now formulate a policy or a pattern or a plan to see how they can help Nigerians, like you said, by road. But again, I learned that when the British tried by road, they were shot at, they were forced to go back.
You know, gentlemen, we are talking about immediate concerns, human lives. But you see, the Sudan issue is a very touchy one, in the sense that the UK, the US will tell you one of our concerns is to ensure that one of the things we are out to do is to ensure that Sudan does not create a base for Islamist insurgency again. When Bashir was there, just before, maybe 2 years before he was ousted, the Russians actually signed an agreement with him to have a naval base close to on their coast there, And what I'm saying is that foreign concerns are also a matter in this matter.
Well, for us
we have to nip it in the bud.
For us to delve into Sudanese politics,
yes.
that would be a different matter altogether.
That's an encyclopedia of crisis.
It's a complex. Well, it looks like another proxy war is unfolding.
That's the point.
A proxy war.
That's the word. Another proxy war.
Now,
should be careful about that.
There are other issues we can also
yes, please
talk about. This issue of 0.3 million foreign assets. Probe KMO's finances article tells you. I saw that on social media, but I didn't know. I was just thinking that's one of those, information you get from social media. But I think it's becoming something that.
Well, I know that.
I think he's bringing to the fore at the moment.
I know that politicians are going to stay die-hard individuals in politics and all that. The last bit I read yesterday was Keyamo saying, the properties you mentioned are just some of my properties which were acquired long before I started serving this government and all that. I mean, give it to him. He is a lawyer of repute whom I want to think has been making some money. But that's not to say that we're giving anybody any clean bill of health. For me, I hardly delve into such things. When politicians are throwing brickbats, at one another, I let them to expend energy and exhaust themselves, and will return to normality. I don't know whether that's the best attitude.
We never return to normality.
Well, I want to bring in the issue of collapsed structures one more time. I think that we are treating this matter with a great deal of levity.
I think the Lagos state government did something just 3 days ago.
Yeah, well, at the weekend, Governor Sanwo-Olu was at Banana Island, and of course, he was livid that some agencies of the federal government had given approvals for the extension of Banana Island. Banana Island is a reclaimed part of Ikoyi, reclaimed from part of the Five Cowrie Creek and the lagoon. And this is typical of the Nigerian elite class. If you know that the perimeter of the island is already exhausted, why continuing to ask for approvals and then you are extending and extending and extending, not being sure, for instance, of the safety of construction work in that particular environment? And so this is what is going on. That's one. Secondly, I think that the time, because when you look at the nature of the collapse, whether of the two-story structure at Apapa, seven-story structure at Banana Island, or the one that occurred in 2021 on Gerard Road in Ikoyi, which is a walking distance from Banana Island itself. Something that I think that we are not also calling attention to much more vigorously. You have a lot of substandard building materials on the market right now. On the market. And SON doesn't appear to have continued with its vigorous search, as well as arrest of persons who are selling these substandard building materials. And I'll give you an example. Look, yes, you have a site engineer, you have the structural engineer who has made a design, and so on and so forth. But when you are going to buy reinforcement, for instance, steel, they will be asking you whether it is the standard you want or otherwise. So a 16 millimeter iron rod, you have 2 or 3 types of it on the market. There is the standard, there is the one that is, of course, not up to 16 millimeter, and you need this for reinforcement. And when you look at, you can see the front page of the leadership principle. The way these structures collapse, Kiran, just hang on a second. The way these structures collapse will tell you that there's something wrong, first, with the materials, and secondly, the haste of construction. Haste. Yes. Because when you are building reinforcement, whether it's your DPC, which is a damp-proof course, ground level, or the decking, there are numbers of days you have before you start placing weights on those things. But these guys are so desperate, within 2-3 days again, they are going up and up. Because somebody has access to free money or so on and so forth, nobody cares about standards, and then the regulatory authorities go to sleep.
See, from my little experience, I've covered coring, for instance. I think that the matter here is not even the variety of items that we have in the market, building materials in the market.
Because these buildings are not
the person who makes the choice of what to buy. Yes. Do you understand? 16 millimeter is different from 12 millimeter. You will see them. Now, the person who procures those materials should be held responsible. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and again, the regulatory authority. I've never seen anybody who has been punished because of a failed builder. And when you contact the engineers, they will tell you that the owner of the house had a quack, and that was why it happened. No engineer has been held responsible for collapsed building. And you are hearing that every day, every month, in all parts of this country, and nothing serious has been done. So for me, it has to continue happening.
Kirian, I know you're winding us up. Yeah. Let me just say in one sentence, Banana Island does not seem to be terra firma, firm ground, as much as parts of Edo State would be, for instance. So people who are building should consider the integrity of the soil on Banana Island. Marry that with the ambition of structural engineers and architects. I think we'll see safer.
Yeah, let's end it there.
We will leave it there. But again, Kirian, Governor Sanwo-Olu and other Lagos government officials must also be ready to rein in their greed for IGR. because you are giving approvals, and then collecting fees.
Good point.
Look, go to. I'm giving Lekki phase 1. Go to Admiralty Way, for instance, or Admiralty Road. Those structures were not to be more than 2 floors. That's to say, ground floor and first floor. Now you are saying 5 stories, 6 stories.
Good point.
6 stories.
Who are raising these stories? They are government officials. And their cohorts.
There you go. There you go again.
That is why they cannot stop the thing from happening. The people involved are government officials. There are no two ways about it.
Are you sure?
Right. I say, are you sure? Who has the money to build those stuff?
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't think any person.
So you arrived at that by deduction.
I don't think anybody in his right senses will make money and go and buy fake building material and go and erect something that will fall and he will lose the money, unless you're getting the money from somewhere else. All right, so please, let's just conclude this conversation on newspaper review. We'll return again tomorrow for more. Chukwudi, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Kirian.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on 88 Network South. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll focus our attention on JAMB.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B, all-round protection. It's great value. It protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems, which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
My name is Mary Jole and I am from Ogun State, but I'm based in Lagos. I've just recently taken a trip to Ibadan, and in returning I decided to take the train. So I said, I'm not so sure, but I'm willing to try.
We thank God that the commencement of this present administration, railway was at a very, very low ebb. And when they came, they took the bull by the horn.
And I'm really happy that I tried. This was probably the most seamless journey I've had since I've been in Nigeria. For example, the train left on time. I was not expecting it to leave on time. 8 a.m., we were on the move. I think it's an amazing alternative to being on the road, especially with just the traffic. It's quite intense, there's insecurity, and it would be amazing to see the government invest a bit more into more trains going into other cities and states. It would really free up the congestion that takes place on the road and leisure type of experience within Nigeria.
My name is Abimbola Majokodumonokoya and I'm from Abeokuta, Ogun State. Actually, I just got here coming from United States as a frequent flyer into Nigeria. I've never been to this airport. I've kind of heard about it, but I've never seen it. So when I came out from the airport, I was kind of disoriented a little bit, like what's going on here?
I'm Comrade Derigo Ehidiame. I'm from Edo State, Nigeria. I'm coming from a trip. I've passed through so many African countries before getting to this place. When I saw Nigeria airport, I marveled.
So I just want to commend the work that's been done here. It's a beautiful place. I mean, I made quite some videos and pictures, unlike the other airports.
Kudos to the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari.
And I give it up to Buhari for giving us this beautiful airport. I hope the maintenance culture kicks in.
Candidates who are interested in gaining admission into NTA Television College JOS for the 2022-2023 two-year National Innovation Diploma Program are to apply for admission through the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB. Courses available at the college include Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism, and Television Engineering Technology. Interested candidates must have a minimum of 5 O-level credits in relevant subjects including English and mathematics. They must also have a minimum score of 100 in the 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME. For more information, please contact NTA Television College JOS or the Marketing Department of any NTA station nationwide. Registrar, Announcer.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Our focus today is on the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations, UTME. And before we kick off the conversation, we'll take this background put together by our correspondent, Ekene Undului.
1.6 million candidates are reported to have registered for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. But that is only the first step in their ambitions to gain admissions into tertiary institutions of their choices, including universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and monotechnics. Tuesday, 25th April and Tuesday, 2nd May 2023 are the new dates for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. But ahead of this, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, is urging candidates to print their slips on or before Monday, 24 April, adding that the examination body will be strict with the timing on the candidate slips. JAMB said the notification slips would contain candidates' examination centers, time and dates of examination, and other essential details. The examination body also enjoined candidates to locate their centers before the day of the examination so as not to arrive late at the examination center. 600 centers have been approved for the examination. But the question now is, how prepared are these centers for the computer-based test? What challenges were identified during the recent UTME mock examination? And what measures have been put in place to ensure a hitch-free exercise? Are there dress codes for students whose examination centers are in religious-owned institutions? On this episode of Good Morning Nigeria, guests will be speaking on preparations for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination.
Ekene Ndulwede with the background, and to discuss the 2023 UTME, let me first of all introduce Professor Ishaq Oloyede, the registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. So it's a pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good. And with us as well is Professor Abiodu Adebayo, Vice Chancellor, Covenant University. Prof, just so good to have you here this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a young
pleasure.
prof.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. Yes.
Thank you.
And Dr. Fabian Benjamin is the head of Public Affairs and Protocol at the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Dr. Benjamin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right, now we also have two guests who are with us via Zoom from Ado-Ekiti. That's the capital of Ekiti State. We've been joined by Professor Smaranda Olarinde. Professor Olarinde is the Vice Chancellor, Afe Babalola University. That's a private university in Ado-Ekiti. Prof, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria.
And also with us via Zoom, this time from Gombe. Is a regular on Good Morning Nigeria. Is the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University at Kashere in Gombe State, Professor Umaru Pate. Professor Pate, we're glad to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nigeria.
All right, lady and gentlemen, once again, we're glad to have you join us this morning. And of course, the topic is quite open, and of course we have the JAMB CEO here with us. All right, you see, we've had the experience of JAMB over the years, and you see, year after year, there are usually challenges that have to do with either registration or conduct of the exam proper. This time around, we are beginning to have some other challenges, confronting JAMB. But irrespective of that, I'm certain from what to have informed Nigerians that JAMB is ready to conduct a 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. Now, I don't want us to dwell on the challenges, but just give us a picture of what will happen tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I thank you for this opportunity. Surprisingly, I'm not going to give the impression that everything will go on smoothly tomorrow. You know, since 2017, we have started to transform what we are doing. Problems were being solved, and by 2019, we were at the cruising level. But we felt that after 2022, we feel we should move to the next level. And that was why we gave the notice that 2023 is going to be a bit different, because we are introducing some other measures which were necessary, but which we wanted to be gradual. And that was why before the mock this year, we gave notice that yes, we are going to try test certain equipment, which we did. Surprisingly, it turned out to be better than we thought, because there are certain things, no matter how much simulation you do, you will not know unless you go into the field. So we are encouraged by the 2 mock examinations we did, and we feel that for this 2023 UTME, it might not be as smooth as it was 2022, because we expect that there will be some little hiccups. For example, what we have done, we have created 4 sessions and we are utilizing only 3 sessions. We have created a backup session, which is the 4th session. We have not posted any student to any candidate to the 4th session. No, we create the 4th session, one, because we know no matter how much we try, some of the 700 plus centers, some of them might fail. Instead of failing and then you go back, since we know some of them, we expect about 5% of these 700 plus centers to fail. And if they do fail, instead of asking the candidates to go and we send messages to them, you have created a situation now that once a center fails, the headquarters is notified immediately and these candidates are rescheduled. So we have said that students, once that happens, just get out of the center and wait in the holding room. Before you leave that place, within 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you will be told of your reschedule, either at that center or another center thereby. It might be the 4th session, so that you can just go and know that that's one of the backup we have created. And we also believe that we should not put all our eggs in the same basket. Nigeria is a very huge country. If we think we are stabilized, we believe we should do so many other things that will make us to be very, very comfortable. That's what we are trying with 2023. We promise that to the best of our ability, they will do, but we expect that there will be some surprises. At the mock level, surprisingly, where we were expecting the problems from, the technology, not much problem came from there. Where we didn't expect, the centers that we felt were all okay, many of them started failing. So we have created some testing ground and we have mobilized our staff, both permanent and adult staff, to be on the field. We believe it will be better.
All right. Professor Oloyede, thanks a lot for your opening salvo, but clarify for our viewers what you mean by sessions. That you are creating a 4th session. I believe that is our timing schedules.
Yes,
what are the time bounds?
Yes, we normally, to the outsiders, 1 session starts at 6:30 to the outsiders, but students and JAMB knows that that's not true. 6:30 is the arrival time. They will prepare, they know when the examination is starting, but anybody who gets there after 6:30 has himself to blame. So we know when the examination is starting. The students also know when the examination is starting. That's the 1st session.
But Prof, under normal circumstances, there's no way everybody will get there 6:30 on the dot.
We know that there is no way.
Before 7 o'clock, one could be there. Under normal
if you say 7, then you are working towards 7:30. For us,
you say 6:30 for 7.
We know what we are saying. Students know what we are saying.
If a student has a flight to catch,
we should not tell them to be arriving, because some of the parents, when we have not even started the exam, they will be saying, my child has been in the exam hall for 1.5 hours when the examination had not even started. The 2nd session is 9 o'clock. We expect the candidates to be there at 9, where we said the 3rd session, I think, is around 12 o'clock. And the 4th session, which we have not put anybody for now, is about 3 o'clock. That is to make sure that the students are there in good time to prepare them, because they will go through accreditation, go through so many other things. But we appeal to parents leave these students alone. They are candidates, they are matured enough. If they are underage, they wouldn't be going to the university. Leave them alone. Most of the problems are created by parents. If everybody should bring his or her parent, the place will not be able to accommodate them. We have a space for 500 persons at every center. 250 in the exam hall and 250 in the waiting room. That's what we have provided. We didn't provide for parents. It's just like if every husband were to go into the labor room. I don't know where the doctors and the nurses will be staying. So let these people go. But most of these parents who go, they are not going in the interest of the candidates. Most of them go to see whether they could influence the process in favor of their candidates. They go there to corrupt the system. And it's clear that many of them are there to see what they can do to manipulate the system. Most of these students, you will know the fact from them because most of them are innocent and genuine. But once their parents are there, they will be talking to them even with the eyelids, telling them, say no, and so on and so forth. We urge the parents to keep away. The fourth session, second session, every student has on the slip when he or she should arrive at the venue. And when he or she is arriving there, she knows what to do and the process will go.
Prof, before we go to other guests, another clarification.
Yes.
You know, when you're talking about coming there getting there by 6:30, let's look at the arrangement in the first instance. For instance, a student who stays in Enugu,
yes,
will have to go to like a Hamufu,
yes,
or go to Oji River. It's about 30 kilometers or more.
Yes.
And it's supposed to report by 8:30. Some of these young lads, some have not even traveled as far as Enugu in their life, for the first time in their life.
Good.
That is one reason why parents take them to those localities where they have not been to before. And considering the proximity, now how could now get from Enugu to Oji River or Hamufu or Nsukka from Enugu? Now, if JAMB is perhaps creating centers,
yes,
I was thinking that because the students have failed in their origin, where they're living, that it could be better to put them in the areas where they're close to where they live.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. Students were not even asked where they reside. They were asked, where do you want to take the examination? We don't choose where the examination will take place. It's the students themselves who pick where the examination will play. What we did was, these are the available centers. Pick the one that is closest to you. No candidate determines the very center he or she will go, but will determine the town. For example, Lagos is divided to about 6 zones. Lagos State, you have Ikorodu. If you pick Ikorodu, you are going there. You have Ikorodu and Epe, I think, merged together. You have Badagry and Ojo, merged together. You have Agege, Ikorodu, merged together like that. So the student, every student chooses this town he or she is going. Somebody cannot just write Abuja. You will say, we have about 3 groups in Abuja. Central Abuja, you have Nyanya, and on the way to, then you have around Suleja, before Suleja, and so on. So these are the centers that
the available centers.
And again, my brother, Nigerians, we will continue to make things easy, but things are not as difficult as people present. Go to American embassy when people want to get visa. Some will be there 3 a.m. and they will even go there and be praying as if they are going to heaven. When you will see them praying, and anybody greeting them, you know that they are there for work. This is something, prepare these children for their future. But when you over pamper them, and you are not going to follow them to the university, when they go on NYC, you are not going to. Please let us just provide the facilities for them. Many of us, except those of you who come from a well-to-do family, from a family like mine, my father did not even know where the university I was attending was. So not to talk of taking me there. He had no car to take me there. It's because the nation had been so favorable to you that you had a car that you can be talking of the boy. If the boy had to go and take Molue to go to where he has to go. So those of you are the elite, and you want to create everything to now conform with your comfort. we can provide for the need of everybody, but we may not be able to provide for the greed of the elite. So that's where the situation is.
Okay, thank you very much, Registrar of JAMB. I want to bring in Dr. Fabian Benjamin, who is the head of public affairs and protocol at JAMB. You issued a statement that was widely reported at the weekend, but it appears that, I'd say it appears, there's some instances of misreporting, especially around the dates of the exam, commencing this, ending that, or starting. So tell us, the UTME for 2023, what are the dates that candidates and parents and guardians should have at the back of their minds?
Thank you very much. The 2023 UTME starts on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, 25th. And we've scheduled a window of time that the exam will commence from 25th to 3rd of May. And I guess you're talking about the direct entry that the statement that issued concerning direct entry and the date for the examination.
No, not direct entry. Clarify this, for instance. You just said 3rd of May. Because I saw in some reports saying it will end on the 2nd of May. Because the census is supposed to kick off on the 3rd of May. So would they still be writing the exam on the day the census is taken off?
The most important date there is the commencement date.
Yes.
Just as my registrar have said. And what we emphasize, you talk about preparation. And preparation for the examination is in 2 ways. That's preparation from the board and preparation from the candidate side. That's what I refer to as PLN. That the question the candidate should ask himself, one, has the candidate printed his notification slip? If you have printed your notification slip, have you made effort to locate the center where you're sitting for the examination? If that is done, have you also noted the date and time, that's the schedule of your own examination? If you have done these 3, you will know when you're supposed to write this examination. The examinations at least spans between 3, 4, 5 to 6 days, depending on the capacity of the center and number of candidates that are sitting the examination in that particular center. So it's between 25th and the 2nd of May. Okay. But of course, just as Registrar said, we've created a buffer zone, a buffer period as 4 sessions per center for any eventuality. We are also trying to see a situation whereby part of the innovation we've introduced for the 2023 is that once a candidate, for any reason, is unable to be verified, such a candidate is scheduled for the last day of the examination of that particular examination town. We have 105 examination towns across the nation. Out of the 708 centers that we have, they are grouped into towns and all those things. So the one day likely that is either forward or backward is for any eventuality, if there's any challenge in any examination town, such candidates will be scheduled for those for that particular day for that examination.
Okay. Well, we'll still interrogate some of the issues arising based on this year's JAMB examination. I'll go to Ado-Ekiti, where we have Professor Smaranda Olarin, the Vice Chancellor of Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti. Madam, of course, this is a recruitment process for those of you who are Vice Chancellors of universities. And among the private universities in Nigeria, Afe Babalola is one of the notable ones. I want your view on the process of JAMB. You've also been here for a longer time to understand challenges of JAMB, the way the agency organizes examination in Nigeria for recruitment of young persons into the ivory towers. What is your view about the preparations?
Thank you very much once again. A good morning from Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti. The preparations have been in high gear. Stakeholders had repeated briefing meetings. Even yesterday at 4:30, we had a briefing meeting as chief external examiners. As a chief external examiner, I am fully briefed. And also the proctors and every stakeholder in the chain of events of UTME examination 2023 are also fully briefed. They are very lucky. In this period, of digitalization, it's easy for us to get the messages down wherever our centers might be. We are prepared. In Ekiti State, for instance, we have 12 centers, and each center has been fully briefed. Today, we're having another briefing session. Yes, the issue of being there at 6:30 in the morning, I want to make a correction. Just as my distinguished registrar, Professor Isaac Uloyede made, we don't start examination at 6:30. We, as supervisors, as proctors, as chief examination officers, we must be ready commencing from 6:30 when the accreditation process starts. And we are prepared. We had several meetings. The channel of communication under the distinguished leadership of Professor Isaac Oluyode is excellent. Nobody is left out, and timely and up to date. That is what I want to let you know. At Ekiti, we are fully prepared, and we are looking forward for a successful examination. However, I'm calling on the government agencies to ensure security. Security is still a huge problem in Nigeria. Once security is ensured and we are backed up with the government agencies in this area, I do not emphasize any major difficulties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Smaranda Olarinde. We'll come back to you in the course of the conversation. Now, back to the studios. Covenant University, of course, is another top private university located at Ota in Ogun State. And the Vice Chancellor we earlier introduced is Professor Abiodun Adebayo. Now, JAMB conducted the mock examinations in March and then, of course, in April. And aside from some of the glitches to which the registrar earlier referred, an issue that went viral had to do with your institution. That namely, some candidates who appeared for the mock examination were dressed in hijab. They were denied entry into your institution. And that, of course, has ruffled quite some feathers. What happened?
Yeah, thank you so much again. It's important we establish these facts. First, to know that Covenant University's vision is raising a new generation of leaders. And in that, Covenant University does not and will not discriminate against race, against gender, against ethnic, or even religious inclinations. And it's also not or good to also mention here that the right from inception, since this CBT, JAMB CBT commences, sometime that's 2015, Covenant University has been part of it. And there have never been any issue of this nature that has ever been mentioned until the March 30th, 2023 JAMB mock examination. Now, it's also important to state that at Covenant, we have quite a lot of persons ladies, women, who wear hijab on our campus for academic functions and no discrimination. A number of them even attend our workshop, conferences, and even the lab. I've even had calls to even work and assist a hijab-wearing lady to conduct some experiments in my lab at Covenant University. So these are basic facts to let you know that we do not discriminate. But to state that the incident that happened that day was such unfortunate one, and immediately I heard that incident, I heard about it, I called our esteemed JAMB registrar here, Professor Ishak Oloide, to also tender Covenant University unreserved apology on behalf of management. But to let you know that we equally had several of those hijab-wearing candidates present for the exam and who were not denied access into the hall. In fact, the videos are there. We have live videos covering all of the examinations there. So it's easy to pick all of these. We have several of them. But these few candidates, I think 2-3 of them who came in to the gate, the security man actually prevented them because, according to him, he wanted to get some clarification. They came in at about past 7 in the morning to the gate. We have all of those evidences to show for it, and prevented them from entry. But the message came to the university management and at the same time the JAMB CBT administrator, who rushed in immediately with their personal car and moved straight to the gate and brought these 3 hijab wearing candidates to write to the examination. But unfortunately, while they were there, the accreditation process was over. As you earlier heard, that actually accreditation actually commenced at 6:30 and all of that. The accreditation process was over, and the JAMB officials could not allow them access into the examination hall. This is the basic fact. This is the truth of the whole matter. And Covenant University will not, on any guise, deny anyone from writing the exam. We have been doing this. We have very good relationship with the stakeholders.
Yeah, Prof, very quickly. You said that other than the 3 candidates who were, as it were, stranded at the gate, there were other hijab-wearing candidates who were at the CBT center writing the exam. So how did they have the right of ingress? And then those who were inside the CBT hall, and then these other 3 candidates were prevented from entering by the security guard.
Now, this is exactly what happened. You know, the security people at the gate usually change beats in the morning, I think at about 7 o'clock or thereabout. So we had these new security men who they are new, who came to take over from the old ones. And a lot of them had already entered because those ones are familiar with our processes. And so these new people, this new team, who they are not fully briefed on the expectation. And that's why they said they wanted to sought clarification from their head accordingly. But in that case, they were already, time was already out, and the candidates were prevented initially from entry until the rescue team from the management and that of the CBT center. But however, it's also important to mention here that we had put adequate measures in place at Covenant University. A lot of meetings went. We had security meeting, we had stakeholders meeting, and the Vice Chancellor and other management team members had to resuscitate again and reconstitute the JAMB Committee on JAMB CBT Center at Covenant University.
Okay.
And now headed by a prof and including security men. That's one of those measures. And we have equally placed a bus at the gate to bring in, because the gate is quite far a bit far from where the CBT center will take place.
Okay.
So these are the measures we have put in place.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. But again, for security men to stop students, they're not adults, they are students, and they all know quite well that students are synonymous with the examinations, and they should have, even if they are new, for me, they should have allowed the students in, since they are just students and they are girls.
They were candidates.
They were candidates, yes. We are young girls too, So that's my own thinking about that. They didn't do well, so to speak. They didn't do well.
Adequate measures have been taken against that, and we apologized to JAMB and to the parents.
All right, Bayazu, you will come in again, sir. You will come in again much later. But let's bring in for the first time Professor Omar Pate. He's been there watching and listening to other guests. Professor Pate, what's your take in all of this? You've listened to all our guests here in the studio, including Sumaranta Olarinde there in Ado-Ekiti. What's your take in all of this mix?
Thank you very much. We salute the efforts of JAMB. In the last few years, JAMB has considerably improved in its performance, and being the final takers of the candidates at the end of the day, we are always ready to cooperate with JAMB. We are always willing to work with JAMB And we have tried as much as we could, for example, in my university, to see that our calendar is in line with the activities of JAM, so that the admission processes will also fall in line with our own calendar, and then there will be a seamless transition from being a student in the secondary school through JAM to our university. So I have had the explanation from the registrar. Yes, we have been briefed from time to time on all the steps JAM is taking to ensure that there's a seamless examination like they have always been doing. There will always be some hitches here and there, but not so major with the extent of affecting the entire process. There may just be 1 or 2 cases here and there, but generally I think they have done an excellent job. And the universities too, as we have heard from Balola and Covenant, are also fully prepared. At the end of the day, we are the beneficiaries of the system. And I am also glad, like what the registrar said about the role of parents. Parents who sometimes over-pamper their children, take the children to almost every point, following them step by step, and in some cases interfering with the activities of the officials. I think they need to be reminded that, look, these children are old enough to be able to do what they're expected to do. And the same thing, not only in JAM, but even during the admission process. In the universities, we receive a lot of interferences from parents who come through all sorts of means, either in the process of gaining the admission or in the process of registering. They try as much as possible to interfere. I remember last year, some parents almost slapped officials of my university, and I insisted that such a candidate will not be registered. It took a lot of interventions. I said, look, we cannot just expose our officials because of a parent who is desperate. Your candidate has been admitted by JAM. He should join the queue for him to be registered like any other candidate. But you just come and start abusing our officials, start interfering in the presence of all other candidates. If all other parents were to come and gather in the admission office, how will the university look like? So I think this is very, very important. And I hope the parents will learn. Otherwise, at some point, JAM may need to take some drastic decisions on some of these parents who feel their candidates or their children are more important than any other child writing the examinations. So generally, I commend the effort of JAM. We are waiting. We hope the examinations will take place and the results, as usual, will be released on time so that the universities will also prepare and the admissions will take place as we have always been doing.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Maru Pate, for your opening salvo. We'll return to you again in the course of the conversation. We're back here in the studios. I know, Professor Oloide, you were itching to respond to what the...
trying to say that I confirm all that the Vice Chancellor of Covenant University had said. He was the first person to call me from the university, and he explained this. But unfortunately, you know, Nigeria, there are some fault lines that it's better not to move near them. And when they happen, you have Herculean task. Even up to yesterday, we are still having people who are still raising the issues. And I think it's clear from what he has said that wherever you are posted, they are for that purpose. That center is JAM, is an extension of JAM. If they do not accept anybody, they wouldn't have registered under JAM for the examination. So parents have no fear. Wherever you are posted, we have the assurance of the landlords of those CBT centers. Because of these 708 centers we are using, only less than 50 belong to JAM. And they are supposed to be model centers, just for people to know how it is. We can't afford to create 700 centers. And many of these centers are owned by institutions, particularly tertiary institutions. We want to assure JAM has no university of its own. And that is why since 2017, no vice chancellor can say JAM has sent one candidate that was not recommended by that institution. We have returned the autonomy to the institutions. Every admission must be initiated, not only initiated, but recommended by the vice chancellor to the JAM. we have less problem. Not many people will come to JAMB. Only those who are not knowledgeable about the process will talk to me, because you better go and talk to the institution, because no admission will originate from JAMB. Everything will have to come, not even the vice chancellor, rector, or provost. The admission officer of each institution must initiate, and the vice chancellor will recommend to JAMB. And all what JAMB does is to be sure that the rules are followed. If the rules are not followed, say, no, you have jumped this person, why? And in many cases, they will say, no, we jumped because of A, B, C. And if we are satisfied, we will issue the letters. So we are saying that candidates should please just go to where they are posted. The host institutions are ready for them, and they are waiting to welcome them and make the place comfortable for them.
All right, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, how much of a sensitization do you think JAMB has been able to do? Because sometimes when there's no information, you breed rumors. People tend to believe what is not fact. Just as the Professor Abiodun Adebayo was just saying, what happened was misrepresented or misreported. All right. So, do you really give out like, a good chunk of information regarding JAMB's processes for people to have a better understanding of it? Because in some cases, you see students bringing up information from JAMB, and some other person doubting such information that is not true in terms of dates and the examination centers and what have you.
Well, we cannot have enough sensitization. We will only continue to do our best, because when you talk about enough, it's a task that I don't think anybody can achieve. But we will continue to do our best to ensure that every Nigerian or desiring candidate is well informed on what we are doing. We are almost everywhere in the media, in the papers, print and both electronics and the social media. Even today, if you look at the newspaper review, you would have seen that at least out of the 2 papers that you reviewed, were on the headline of one of the papers. We are doing everything humanly possible to ensure that at least information gets there. Besides what I have mentioned, our candidates, we also reach them through their email addresses, by text messages, and other unconventional ways that we feel that at least this candidate should be informed on whatever we are doing in the board. But I will only continue to appeal, just as Professor Pate have said, at times, because of the influence of parents, even when these candidates are informed of what to do, the parent will still want to do things that are not conventional with our own operations. And that leads to a lot of confusion. That's where you get this kind of information that are not actually what we've put in the public space.
But do you have a system, sorry, I'm not cutting short, do you have a system whereby JAMB can directly reach to all candidates via the telephone?
Yes, so many. I've just mentioned some of those channels, beside the text messages, beside the email addresses, beside our social media handles, YouTube and all those things. During registration, the candidate is requested to provide this. In fact, the telephone number is a unique identifier of every candidate. And you must have heard of situation where people will be arguing about phone number. They don't know why we always insist on having that unique identifier, because for the rest of your life, you're going to be communicating with the board through that particular phone number. That's why we insist that every candidate should have a particular one number to attach to himself. So messages are sent through this number. You can also use that number to also access some of this information from the board. This information are also put on our website. For a candidate, if you want to get any information, besides us sending this information to you, you can also visit our site on your own portal, and then you get all these things. When we register candidates, you create a profile. And that profile is like having an account. Like out of 1.5 million candidates that we have, everybody has a room, a box in the board. So at any point in time that you want to get any information, all you need to do is just to go to your own box, like the post office box. You open the box and that information is there. It is a known fact that before every examination, a week to that examination, we put information for candidates to go and print their slip. So even when those information, when you don't see them in the public space, you can just go to your box and then you get your slip there printed, and then you have all the information you need to do. So we just continue to appeal to stakeholders, to the candidates, to continue to partner with us to see how we can make this system better.
Just again clarify this, because there is a report that the printing of slips will close by today, or is it ongoing? And therefore, when will the printing of the slips come to a close? And when did the printing start in the first instance?
We started the printing last week, around Wednesday, Thursday, thereabout. But it's not an exercise that we closed. Why we advise that every candidate should print today, you may be scheduled for tomorrow's examination. And if you don't print the slip today, you won't know if you're actually scheduled for tomorrow.
Yes.
If you're lucky to print tomorrow and you are scheduled for Wednesday exercise, good luck for you. But unfortunately, if you print tomorrow and you are scheduled for the first session tomorrow, you have missed the examination. That is why we advise that out of all the 1.5 million, every candidate should ensure that he prints his or her slip today, so that you will know your schedule and make effort also to locate your center. We've had situations whereby you see a candidate just some few minutes to exam is running helter-skelter looking for his own center and all this. We advise that a day, if you print your slip today, be Monday 24th, you try to locate your center within that examination. Maybe you're in Garki, your center is in Metama. You just take a stroll there so that you know the distance, that, you know how it will take you to get there. So that by tomorrow, you'll be there at exactly the time that is indicated on your slip. So the printing of
it's not good to make a provision for what I call the inevitables, you know, which will come because of logistics, which no one has control of. Some people might come late. Some people might come a bit late. Is there any provision for somebody who came late for not for a fault that not his or hers?
Yes,
is there any provision for that?
But you know, sir, the excuse I always give is that we must prepare our candidates for reality. If you are going by British Air to London and you say you had an accident on the road, good. Nobody caused the accident, but would that make the plane to wait for you? You will go with the next flight. So the same way the examinations had been scheduled. Yes, anything can happen, but it happened. We won't hold the whole nation down because something unfortunate had happened to reschedule. We cannot, because you must have extraordinary reason.
How will the person get the next flight?
The next flight is next year.
No.
The flight goes every year.
You said going to London. They won't tell you to come next year.
But they won't send our own flight goes every year.
But somebody who genuinely registered and had a natural problem that he has no control.
It's very good.
It's an unforeseen circumstance.
Yes.
And one could think that, look, that as an organized body, they could say, okay, fine and well, we have to make provision for nature. Because nature, you cannot reverse nature when it strikes. So I am thinking that morally speaking,
do you know what it costs to conduct one examination? To conduct one examination, you are talking about paying the examiners for 180 items times 750 places. You know, at least yesterday, for conducting this examination, just because night allowance had changed. Last year we paid about 750 million as transport and logistics. Yesterday we signed 1.5 billion naira as transport and logistics for 7,500 officials that are going on the field. So if we, because of accidents and something, we now commit another 1 billion or 500 million, because to deploy an examination, you don't deploy it to one center. You deploy the whole examination.
I was thinking that since you go in batches, if somebody in batch 1 misses exam can join batch 2 or batch 3 or 4, as the case may be, the provisions that you have made.
Oh, that is very good for you, but it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work because we have slated people 250 per session. So you have slated the highest in a class is 250 and you have put 250 people there. If somebody misses the exam, will you drop somebody from the 250 or anticipate somebody who will also drop? That's one. Number two is that we have scheduled them You know that when a candidate goes into the examination hall, I want to take biology. The next month, the person is taking Yoruba. So we must have scheduled who is sitting where. And those things is not something you can just do by ad hoc. What we are trying this year, one of the things we are trying this year is that if something happens, within 2-3 hours, we want to be able to harvest those people. That's why we are creating the 4th session at 3 o'clock, so that we will see. We are not promising anybody. We are just saying that, because when you are dealing with this type of thing, you talk about mass production.
Yes.
And when you are doing mass production, there will be, you have to sacrifice some minority. They may have genuine reason. I didn't cause it. Somebody said, my late father will always tell me, when you say, he sends you on an errand and you say it's raining, he say, are you a salt? It's salt that will melt in water. So why will you? There are things that will happen that we were not the cause of it. And you two candidates are not, but we have to sacrifice them because we have to care for the majority. If we have to be thinking of somebody who had an accident on the way, somebody we will not move, or we will waste the resources of the public resources. So what we do is that when such things happen, we will see what can be done. But, no. I'm not promising.
It's not a guarantee.
No. If we had been rescheduling them, there would have been more problems. Anywhere I go now, when people are talking of something difficult, they say, it's JAMB question. Good. So I was at a funeral ceremony yesterday, and the Malam who was conducting the Malam started asking questions from the bride. Many questions, and the man said, I know JAMB registrar is here. That's why I was asking those rapid questions. Let us prepare our candidates for the reality of the current day life. If we have this thing that everything will wait, because my father is a chief executive, my mother is a minister, and so on, we will not move. Elsewhere, why are you going to American embassy at 2 a.m.? Why are you going at 3 a.m.? Why don't you tell them that you are children of the minister, and therefore the ambassador should come and register you at your house? Okay. Even as ministers, you go and queue to get visa.
Because you have appointments, and the appointment is strict. All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We're going to take a short break now. When we return, we continue with the conversation. Still a number of issues for us to deal with. And happily, we have 3 vice chancellors who are part of today's conversation.
If you want to become something, become a child again. Why be a patient? If you must worry, then worry about winning. Why worry about germs? When you come home, bring tales and stories. Why bring in germs?
Shield your families from germs. When Dettol is a part of every household bucket, then you and your family can stay protected from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Everyday use of Dettol keeps my loved ones protected.
Everywhere you go, from banks to hospitals to public offices, mass transit stations, airports, and even telecommunication centers, senior citizens are treated as nuisances. They are not. They are senior members of our society, and they deserve the utmost respect. We shouldn't be having our aged fathers and mothers standing in long queues to withdraw their monies at banks. Our retired senior citizens shouldn't be caught standing in buses for lack of seats or chasing after one just to get to their destination. Senior citizens shouldn't have to sit long hours in hospital corridors with no geriatric specialist to attend to them. Our senior citizens deserve better treatment from all of us. They deserve to be listened to. They are deserving of seat reservations on public buses and priority attendance in public spaces. As young people, we are quick to say, no one owes you. This is not true. We owe the elderly members of our society a helping hand, our services, and respect. Age-friendly societies have more senior citizens enjoying good health, living safely, and engaging in meaningful community work than those who do not. Dignifying age-friendly services for senior citizens.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days, you probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
All I need to say about the second River Niger Bridge, 21 years ago, as I came onto this throne, it will normally take you 3 to 4 hours to cross the bridge. I mean, if you are going to Lagos, you spent almost half your time on the bridge, and you were stuck on the bridge before you came across from Asaba this morning. Now, could you imagine how the people of Onitsha and Asaba have endured such a situation for over 25, 30 years? This is reality. So we cannot overestimate the importance of the second River Niger Bridge. To express appreciation to our President, Muhammad Buhari, for being the vehicle for the execution of this monumental project.
You're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. All our guests are still with us, and before we went on that short break, I did say that 3 vice-chancellors of universities were also part of this conversation. 2 of them, of course, are VCs of private universities, Afe Babalola, Ado-Ekiti, and Covenant Atota in Ogun State. And of course, from Gombe, we have Professor Umaru Pate, Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University at Kashere. I think that for those who don't have candidates, who are not guardians or parents to candidates who are writing this year's examination, there's need to just provide some enlightenment. And I want Professor Umaru Pate to begin with this, because probably it's a problem that is more acute with federal and state universities. Coronavirus created quite some disruptions in 2020. And then ASU strike, 8 months, 9 months. So nobody quite, I don't know, I will speak for myself. I'm not quite sure which of the academic calendars is functioning. And JAMB is conducting this 2023 UTME. For which session are you going to be conducting or admitting students for this one? Is it 5 years' time or a backlog? Which one, Professor Pate?
Thank you very much. I cannot speak on behalf of all the vice chancellors of federal or state universities, because every university has its own independent calendar operating. But I can speak specifically for our own university in Kashere. We do not have any backlog. Likely what happened was, before the ASU strike, we were able to write our final examinations, and then when the strike was over, our students returned freshly, and we also did our admissions for the 2021-2022. And immediately after, we conducted another admission for the 2022-2023 admission sessions, which means in our university, we have 2 streams operating admitted at the same time, though gap of a little, some few months between them. JAMB allowed us to do that. And then right now, the 2 sets have written their first semester examinations, and hopefully they will resume on 3rd of May for the second semester session. For the second semester, which means in our university, everything is on track, and hopefully JAMB will conduct this year's examinations, and we will be able to do our admissions at the right time, and our students to come in probably in October or thereabout. So for our own university, we do not have any serious challenge with our calendar, but the pressure still remains. And just like you have heard, about 1.something million people as candidates are going to write the JAMB examinations, and the universities are under considerable pressure. The spaces available are, of course, very, very limited, and the number of pressure is also intense. Therefore, the competition naturally will be stiff. So we'll try as much as we could to admit the number that we are allocated to admit, and at the end of the day, see how we continue to fortune. But I can assure you, many universities are struggling to see how they can adjust their calendars and then for us to move on. We are just praying that the stability we are experiencing now will remain in the system without foreseeing any probability of a strike or any other eventuality that will again cause a major disruption in the system. Certainly the universities have suffered, our reputations are at stake, and we are lucky that JAMB is handling all the admission processes and they're doing so on time. So the challenge is now for us, the universities, to ensure that we also work hard that our calendars remain stable.
Well, it's important he noted, Kingsley, that he can speak for his university. They don't have any backlog. And of course, for private universities in Nigeria, they didn't have that experience, right?
If I may come in, I just want to say that just as the Vice Chancellor of Kashire said, the individual institutions, particularly universities that were disrupted, they have different sessions now. When we conduct 2023 for examination, some people are saying, we are still in 2021, 2022. That's your own university. Most of the Nigerian universities are private universities. And if you do not work, you do not eat. You see, it's in public university that it is Ogota, Alaro Akpe, Alaro Akpe. In Yoruba, what that means is that if you are going to the market, if whether you go there and you sell your wares or you don't sell, you must pay the transporter. You can't tell the transporter that, you carry the thing to the market, I didn't sell. You pay him when you are going back. That is the psychology of the public institution. But I want to tell you that some of these institutions, public institutions, are still running their 2021, 2022. Some are running 2022, 2023. So that will not stop us from conducting the examination. That's what I was talking about the bus or the aircraft moving. Because we are catering for a large number of people. Those who are still in 2021, 2022 session, their examination is still valid whenever their result. Whenever they want to start, the candidates are there waiting for them. But those who are ready for 2023, they are ready to go.
See, I'm going to ask this question. You might consider it pedestrian, but I don't mind, because it is about people gaining knowledge, having a better understanding of topical issues such as JAMB. Many Nigerians have questioned, the necessity for JAMB in the first place as a process, to take someone to a higher institution. That's number one. Number two is that when one writes JAMB, for instance, after clearing his papers at the work level, he passes JAMB, he goes to university, and that university sets another examination for the same candidate, just in the process to get into a university. Fine. And when somebody passes JAMB and fails to gain entrance into a university, he or she is expected to write JAMB next year, even when he had a good score the previous year. I don't understand why someone will be writing an exam of the same category several times when he has already passed it once.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the necessity for the university exams after JAMB, which is new anyways, is what Nigeria can't really understand. So why must a young person pass through all these rigors of examination that bordered on one syllable, so to speak, before he can gain entry into a university? I don't understand, but I want Smaranda Olarinde, the Vice Chancellor of Alfa Babalola University, to commence this conversation.
I just want to make a clarification. At Alfa Babalola University, we have uninterrupted and a very stable academic calendar. As I'm speaking to you, we are in our second semester 2022-23 academic session to commence the second semester examination on the 29th of May. We are on track. This is how it should be. A student should not be disorganized because of instability in their academic calendars. We are ready September, at the beginning of September, first week in September, we are ready for our next 2023-2024 examination admission exercise. That is how it should be. And let us remember, education is power. But quality education, when you can plan, is supersonic power. So we are looking for a supersonic power state of education. In private universities, is the norm for us to keep to our academic calendars, which are in line with international standard and best practices. So on this note, this is what I want to chip in. And if I may have the question that you wanted me to address in addition. But if you permit me, as a legal practitioner, I want to remind all of us that Nigeria is a secular state where we do not have a federal religion or state religions. Henceforth, what happened in the university, and in the Covenant University, as my brother Vice Chancellor stated rightly, the happenings of the 3rd of April were very unfortunate. And it might have been a result of overzealousness of university staff. This should not be so in a secular environment, and especially in a country where the Constitution spells out its position on freedom of religion and its practices. Henceforth, I call on all of us. Some of our universities are faith-based universities. Let us be sure that we are the equity and equality of our candidates are the paramount importance, and they are allowed into the examination halls. The modern examination is computer-based test examination. So we are ready. We don't look at the faces of anybody. As long as we have screened our students within the decency of our constitution and practices, let students not be disorganized or destabilized because of overzealousness of anybody on the part of our institution. This is the only thing I would like to add, especially now that we are commencing our first JAMB examination tomorrow, 25th of Tuesday, April 25th of Tuesday, 2023. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for your insight. And let's bring in Professor Adeboye here once more on the issue of JAMB, the UTME, and other examinations. And when you pass JAMB this year, you didn't get entrance, and then next year you write JAMB again, and all that. How is it what's obtainable in other climes?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I think, let me start to say that the more ways in which students or candidates are being examined to come in is also better. Because even in world-class universities, a number of, there are several measures that have been placed, several requirements have been placed to address and to get students admitted into such universities. But mind you, those universities, or each university has its own peculiarities, has its own core values, has its own mission, has its own expectations. And so I believe, having post-UTME is core. And it will also help to bring in the right candidate, the best candidate.
Prof, you will continue. Do you know why I just asked that question?
Okay.
In the 80s, early 80s to early 90s, most Nigerians who did not pass JAMB had to travel abroad for universities. They were asked to bring their assessment, that from your class 1 to class 6, or your termly assessments and all of that. Transcripts. You send the transcript. They do an assessment. Perhaps if you get there, you write an exam. I want to believe that,
yes.
Right? Back then, there was no JAMB there. JAMB-like exam, apart from the university that will sit the exam for you after seeing your transcript, and you gain enter. Many friends that I knew left Nigeria then because of JAMB, reputation of JAMB each year. I'm being honest to you. These are individuals that I know. Today, it's all about professors. Yeah, they're my professors.
Now, those who didn't pass JAMB then.
Well, yeah, exactly. And they come abroad, yes. Yes.
They are not professors.
They went to some of the best schools abroad, and in America, UK, and elsewhere. And they are professors today. lecturers in universities abroad.
That's good. That's good. And they failed JAMB.
They failed JAMB in Nigeria.
Yeah,
That's a compliment.
but it's important. It's important. We also emphasize the fact that you know, there are a lot of things had happened over the years, and the reason why the government had to bring in post-UME, I think it's also very clear at that time. I think there were agitations at that time that to also doubt on the credibility of the candidates being, you know, admitted through JAMB and all of that.
And
so
the students have also to pay to take that exam of UTME. They have to pay as well.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, Prof.
You know why I'm saying is that Nigerians, I'm talking about what Nigerians are thinking and feeling. When you talk to other Nigerians, that's his thinking.
Kirian, I appreciate the point that you have raised. You know, there was the stories are much fewer these days, but there used to be mercenaries who were writing the exams, JAMB exams for candidates. So the universities then said, look, you couldn't have this brilliant scores in your WAEC, brilliant score in JAMB, and then you get in there, first year, your CGPA is right down. I don't know. Yeah.
So,
Prof,
sir, I may say this. Even when I went to write JAMB myself, I must say this. It was an open space. At that time, there was no CBT centers and all of that. Even right there, because of the way we were taught, the way we were brought up in our own university, I attended the community school, but well respected at that time. You know, but at that time, you know, somebody was passing paper and all of that. We right inside the exam, and he said, "Take." I said, "No." He said, "I can't." Even when your pen drops on the floor, you call in my own school. You call someone to do that. But we have also seen that, again, just like you mentioned, someone with over 300 score in JAMB or in JAMB UTME exam will come in and the CGPA is reading the third class after first year. I think all of these put together had also brought that. Then again, let's also mention that at that time there were very few universities. Currently we have over 200 universities. So how many
applications?
The university that we had then to be commensurate to our population as well. These people left basically because they were stopped from entering university based on JAMB. It's a clear thing. I'm not saying it is right. I'm not saying people still pass their JAMB on the first stage.
Let me add this to it. We have lost sight that government did not create JAMB. JAMB was created by the universities. The few universities that were then, as you call them few, they were the one who went to UCAS in UK, who set up a committee that they were wasting resources and wasting spaces because one same candidate will take Ibadan, will take Unilag, will take ABU, one same candidate, he can only attend one. And by the time they now come, he will choose the one to go. He will take 4 applications, wasting money. And at the same time, he will only go to one. By the time there will be 4 vacancies for this one brilliant candidate. That was what made the university to say, let there be joint admission. Joint, that is, let's jointly admit. You take one application. You are talking of candidate paying 3,500 now to one. You are now advocating that they should take application into 10 university paying 4,000 times 10. How do you match that? Secondly, I also want to call your attention to the fact that this post-UTME that were being, yes, some institutions were turning it into money making, but they are now regulated. Yes. No institution charges more than 2,000, which is to pay those who are organizing it. It's about 1,700 at the last count. And the Honorable Minister directed that no institution should charge more than 2,000 naira. And that is regulating it, which means the monetary aspect is not there. And anywhere you go,
Prof,
even in UK today.
Prof, I'm sorry, I know that you wanted to make some comparison. We're getting pressed for time. Earlier, Fabian was trying to indicate to us the schedule for direct entry registration. Yes. But I want to link that up with another issue that is pertinent. I know that a couple of years ago, there were concerns about IJMB, about JUBEB, and now we're hearing stories about Cambridge, how potential candidates and their parents are bringing pressure to bear for direct entry purposes. We know we're dealing with UTME, but accompanying the UTME is a direct entry issue. What is amiss with Cambridge, IJMB, and JUBEB?
Yes, thank you very much. I want to say that in the Nigerian education system, direct entry is an aberration. It's being tolerated because the system is still 3-3-4. There is no room for the two. But because of where we were coming from, A-level is being accommodated, and that's why we peg it at 10% of the entire population, so that they will not swallow the students who have the first right of way. But the elites in Nigeria, they spend a lot of money sending their children to these so-called elite schools, and they will spend millions wherever the money comes from, and they will say they want to take Cambridge. Good, they take Cambridge examination. But we carried out an exercise that showed that in order to avoid UTME, candidates want to come in at 200 level at all costs. Bayero University, Kano, examined 148 of such A-level candidates, and surprisingly, only 4 were genuine. 142 were fake examination. That was when we were put on the alert, and we carried out an operation with the ICPC. The outcome, we better not talk about it. Right. So we now felt that what we should do is to go for verification. Cambridge certificates cannot be, we did not have the means of verifying. That's why we exempted Cambridge. And the British Council approached us and made available facilities for checking their A-level result. Now we have brought them on board. Okay. That yes, if you have the money to go and pay at Cambridge, and we have the means of cross-checking the validity of the certificate, that's why we brought them on board. Sir. And we just want to, please, just allow me.
Before you go, because you know, time, we are pressed for time, please. This question is coming from our producer. Yes. Basically because of the issue of persons who might miss their chances tomorrow. Take an example. He's saying that, look, you earlier indicated that candidates choose their CBT centers.
Yes. Choose their towns.
Or like their towns. Yes. Okay, you now give person a CBT center. But there are concerns that JAMB sometimes give candidates the towns other than the one that they have chosen.
It's not true. You bring one. I've heard so many stories. If you bring one, we will give you 100,000 naira. Just tell the candidate.
I will investigate. I will investigate.
I'm so certain.
I will investigate.
I'm just go and get one.
Kira, let's go and investigate. So that
investigate and bring one. I must tell you, there are cases. Look at one candidate who came and said, I chose law. And what I find is sociology. And we look into it. This is a deaf candidate. Is it a blind candidate? And he went with the father to the exam hall, and he said, I wanted law. And the father told the registrar, don't listen to him. I can't afford law. It's sociology I can afford. Please put sociology there. And the person said, okay, put it in writing, and they put. The boy who is going to court, who is saying all these things, does not know what is going on. Because the parents, and some of particularly parents do all sorts of things behind these children. They want their children to. One thing that I think arising from your question that I want to answer is that we are suspending direct entry registration from tomorrow, so that we don't want UTME candidates and direct entry to now be together in our office. After the examination on the 2nd and the census on the 3rd and the 4th, we will continue the registration of direct entry. We do not want a situation where direct entry registration students will go to our centers when the UTME is going on. We are suspending that immediately tomorrow as we are resuming. And after the 5th, that is after the census, we will continue with the registration of the direct entry candidates.
I was just wondering.
Sorry to add to that.
Yes, okay.
Candidates are also urged, desiring candidate that wants to register for direct entry, they are urged to obtain the direct entry PIN. Because we are closing on the 30th of this month. You don't need to go to any center to obtain the PIN. you can buy from all the vending outlets, either bank or all this money, microfinance and all this. So you can obtain the PIN between now and the 30th of this month. And then you go to visit our offices to complete the direct entry registration after the census exercise.
NIN is no longer an issue for registration?
No, it is, but students have overcome that. Nobody is complaining again because they know that it's compulsory. When we started, it was war. That JAMB is imposing NIN, not knowing that it's not me, it's the National Assembly that made the law. Yes. And I'm just under obligation to obey the law of the land.
All right, on which note, we'd like to thank all our guests this morning for a very interesting interaction that we've had on this year's UTME examinations, beginning tomorrow, the 25th of April, and ending on the 2nd of May. And of course, thereafter, direct entry will kick off. I think that we have the opportunity of returning to this direct entry. Whether persons with first degree can also qualify for direct entry. I think that's an issue that we'll deal with. On which note, we'd like to appreciate all our guests from Kashere, the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University, that's Professor Umaru Patev, a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria. We thank you for being with us today. And from Ado Ekiti, Vice Chancellor, Afe Babalola University, Professor Smaranda Olarinde, we appreciate your being with us. We also understand that you are a Chief External Examiner for JAMB. Here in the studios, deep thanks to Professor Abiodun Adebayo, Vice Chancellor, Covenant University, Ota in Ogun State. Dr. Fabian Benjamin, Head of Public Affairs and Protocol at JAMB, thank you very much for the clarifications you provided. And the Registrar and CEO of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, we appreciate your being with us on the program this morning. Let's go over now to our sports desk.
Five-time world champions Nigeria have arrived in the Algerian city of Constantine for their final preparations with this year's Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations. Following complications that arose in the process of securing entry visa into Germany for a planned final training camp in that country, the Nigerian Football Federation opted to send the squad earlier to Algeria for the final build-up, and Constantine, the renowned city where the Eaglets will play Morocco, Zambia and South Africa in Group B, was the choice. Nigeria will launch her campaign for honours at the 12-team Continental Championship on Sunday next week against Zambia at the 22,000 capacity Stade Mohamed Hamlaoui. They will then take on Morocco and South Africa in other matches in Group B. In England, Manchester United set up a first FA Cup final against Manchester City after beating Brighton in a tense penalty shootout at a rain-lashed Wembley Stadium. In a match that finished goalless after extra time, it fell to United defender Victor Lindelof to score the decisive.
I'm Kyrian. You might have a great holiday.
That's right. Continue to enjoy your holidays, but if you have an exam to write tomorrow, better go and swat. I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Look after ourselves.